Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our Women Together session. My name is Antoinette and I am just really happy to be with you all today. It's been hot, so I'm a little just trying to manage the heat, as I'm sure many of us in this region are. We're in a little bit of a heat wave. And I'm curious, where are you all and how are you all doing? So we can just use the chat as we typically do. If you're new, welcome. We've been running our Women Together sessions weekly, and it's really been a lifeline for many of us to have this consistent connection with each other, to be able to just hear each other, listen, and support one another, to meet new people, and to figure out really what's important to us as we move forward. Each day, each week feels like a new adventure. So a warm welcome, really warm from New York today. For those of you who've been outside, it is, it is quite hot. So it looks like another person's in steamy New York City, Mexico, Long Island, north of Chicago, and Glencoe. It's warm and wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. San Diego, California, Los Angeles, where we are enjoying the June gloom. Thanks, Celia. Jan, summer came early. Yes, it did. Ellen, connecting from muggy New Jersey. Houston, sunny and hot after a monsoon. Overcast and humid in Columbus, Ohio. Chicago, before it gets too hot, just took a mile walk. Humid and rainy Toronto, very hot in Cambridge, Mass, Oakland, California, sunny Ottawa. So yes, we're grateful for the sunshine, and also making sure that we're all doing okay in the heat that many of us may be experiencing too. So a warm welcome and just a great joy. I love going on the gallery view in the top right. You can click on gallery and see everyone in the room. So as we all just enter in, I know it takes a few minutes for us all to get here. You can just say hello, maybe find a person and just connect with them. Even if they don't know, maybe you just pick a little 3 or 4 boxes and just connecting with those people and really taking them in with their video and just seeing, maybe sending them some joy or love, connection. Oh, sweet. So just noticing a few more. We've got Hillary with a renewed relationship with the air conditioner in Green Bay. Brooklyn in the house, Myrtle Beach, steamy Washington, D.C., Philly, New Berlin, Wisconsin, Hastings on Hudson. I feel like I almost said that like the, if any of us have been on the Metro North, Hastings on Hudson is what just came to mind. So for those of you who know this region, that's the kind of traditional train conductor voice. But Sandy from Congers, New York, wonderful. So I just have this good feeling of being all together today and just taking each other in and taking in what we've come here for, and who we each are. And I really, for those of you who may be new, Eileen started this space as a way for us to just connect with each other and really connect with our own what she calls leadership practices, but it's really leadership in our everyday lives, really just feeling free in who we are and bringing the best of ourselves to the world and to those around us. I find that I need a little practice in order to be ready. So I saw that somebody said they took a mile walk. Sometimes that's my practice, just going out in nature and taking a walk. Sometimes I do yoga. Sometimes I do stillness, but just anything that allows us to kind of reconnect with our best selves, even if it's hot, or metaphorically, if there's heat building. Sometimes for me, that's anger, frustration. So just being able to process some of those things can be really helpful to just be together. And, it's really not a place where, we're getting therapy or something, but it is a place where we can really just connect with one another in a lot of different ways. So today is about having courage, and next week's about returning to wholeness. We'll come back to some of our favorites around compassion, etc. So I encourage you to take a look at some of um, the upcoming events for June. It's as much as it's entering into summer, we have a lot of possibility and excitement as well. So that said, I thought we might enter into our first tiny practice. Sorry, I keep feeling like I have to sneeze. So if I sound a little off, that's what's going on. But just a first tiny practice, just landing in the body. And often we talk about the weather, and we put in how it's going, because it really just lands us in our place. So, oftentimes we can feel separate or disconnected. And when we can sense into being here on planet Earth and being connected from each of our places, being connected to each other and being part of a larger whole, and just finding the interconnection that is being human, that can already give us a little sense of uplift, a sense of a reminder why we're here. So I'll just grab my little singing bowl, and wherever you are, you can just land in the body and yourself. Just take a moment, just pause, maybe connect in with the breath. Slow down anything that might be running in your mind. Sometimes it's just about slowing down. Just tuning into the breath, tuning into your own inner workings of the body. Maybe just for a moment, tuning into what really has brought you here today. Today's topic is around having courage, but what really brought you here to today's Women Together connection? And I'll ring the sound of the singing bell to just give us a moment of stillness on our own. And then I'll ring the bell to bring us back together. So just returning to the screen, to those of us who are in our little Zoom room or in our YouTube space, just connecting with each other, ourselves. Lisa said that stillness felt extra good. I agree. We start to hold each other and ourselves in a deeper way when we move into that. So thank you for taking that moment and just tuning into what brought you here. Perhaps it's something particularly around having courage. But if you want to take a moment to type in the chat or in the YouTube comments, what comes up for you in thinking about the topic of courage and really what actually brought you here today? You really went to a level of depth. And I'll read a few out. So just pulling a few of these in. Um, Community, time for me, having the courage to get back to real life, quote unquote, again. I look forward to these regular sessions, uplifting and inspiring. Anne says curiosity and connection. Sherry, yes, community, connection. Jerry, time to gather myself because I get caught up in doing instead of being. Carrie, encouragement. Hillary, starting something new and need to refocus on being brave. Joe, courage to just get through one day at a time. Courage to, I'm guessing, see people again, be with people again. Kim, created a confidence curriculum at my former employer, focused on a courage framework, was interested in what you would share. Awesome, Kim. I would love to hear from you as well, what you came up with. So yeah, Elizabeth, I want to access the courage to send out my writing. Doris, getting to know where other women feel they want to be more courageous. Pat, need to be more brave and standing up for myself. Marlene, 1 year ago, we were lamenting quarantine, and now we can rejoice at restarting normal life again. Barbara, trying to find courage to be myself. Paula, just returned from walking on the beach, thinking about courage, to go forth on my writing, to have the confidence to meet my goals, to challenge myself, having courage to return to living life. Beautiful. There are so many. There's still more coming in, so thank you. Keep going. Oh, yeah. Vicky is struggling with a broken wrist and can't do yoga. So having courage to be myself and not worry. We're here with you, Vicky. And those kinds of injuries, it can be even something small. You know, I remember I broke a toe once and I couldn't do my normal things. It didn't feel, and I just have felt totally depleted by it. So just refinding and refocusing ourselves with that. So feel you there. Oh, beautiful. So many good ones. I encourage you to read in the chat. Courage to set boundaries and let go. Courage is not a quality that is talked about, just named particularly during a time like this year. Missy, thank you. Yeah. So I, as usual, will just share a little bit of my thinking around courage, and then we will turn to each other. That's really what this is about, is women together connecting. So, you know, whether today you really need to connect with yourself, or if you're here and you're ready to connect with other women in the Zoom, that's the encouragement today, that we really just have the courage to connect with each other and to really be honest with ourselves and with each other. And I will say that when I initially started thinking about topics for June and this kind of moment, I am standing in a US context, you know, as many of us are. I know that we often have some global connections in this space. And so I acknowledge that that's not necessarily, we're not all experiencing the same thing at the same time. I think the pandemic was a moment of disruption in which we all had this kind of immediate, we were all experiencing lockdown in various, you know, succession of weeks around the globe. And so, you know, we've had to face courage in a lot of different ways. And for me, this moment of having courage is to step back out. So many of us needed to have courage to face what was happening and to turn inwards. And now another type of courage is required. And to go back out and connect with people, or to go and just live a daily existence and have all of these different choices to make. There's just so many different aspects of what it means to be moving and have courage, especially when there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of uncertainty. So just holding all of that, holding both the desire to reconnect, the desire to go out, and then also, I love this Susan just said, courage to begin responsibly. And that, I think, is, we're not just responding, but we're being responsible about how we go out and into it. And the other piece about courage is really, when I think about this Women Together space, someone earlier said, this is her space for being rather than doing. So kind of pausing for a moment on the doing, like I just go, go, go. I need to get this. I need to do that. I need to make this happen. And, it just kind of, I keep going, and I can get into that. It's almost a frenzied state, but when I can just pause for a moment and come back to myself, that takes a lot of courage to stop the doing, to stop the kind of cycle and the wheel of that. So to be able to do that, even when, people are going back out or doing the next thing, to actually have the courage to say, this is what's right for me right now. And this is what's right for my community, or my, and then to what Francis's point in the chat was, that when you see wrong, but no one says anything. Is it my responsibility at great cost? And so kind of having that moment of getting over an internal hump, maybe it's an internal thing. In my mind, I'm holding myself back from really expressing something about what I know is wrong, or I see as, perhaps this is, frustrating for me, or I don't feel this is right. And really being able to stand up and say something, or show up in that kind of situation. So I love turning to my teachers, and some of them I'm quite close to, some are a little further away. And this one is Brene Brown, who we know has done such great work about vulnerability and courage. And she says, true courage comes when we decide to take a risk without knowing the outcome. It means showing up and letting yourself be seen despite the risk. When you show up this way, you open yourself up to joy and connection, but you can only do it by accepting that there could be pain. And Brene Brown says there's no courage without vulnerability. And I think that's the main theme in this, is there is no courage without being vulnerable. There's no courage without taking some kind of risk. So just kind of acknowledging that in ourselves is in that we may not know the outcome of our actions, but we can tune into what the heart really wants. We can tune into what our bodies really need. And when we operate from that place, then no matter what the risk, if we're really operating from that place, then we step into the next moment with wholeness. And so whatever choice you make, whether it's to go out and be social or to stay in, that allows you to have that sense of confidence, whether it's to stand up and fight, or to, whatever that is calling for you in that moment. But really tuning in first, not just jumping from a response like, oh, putting out the fires, but really stepping in from a place of vulnerability. And as Francis said, easier said than done. Absolutely. So so I just sit with that. I sit with that for many moments of, what does it really take to have courage? And on some level, that's on an individual level. On another, as someone who works closely with Eileen, I've seen there are a lot of tough choices, especially in running a business. And I don't know, some of us are in different positions and hold, various levels of power and holding other people. And there's a lot of decisions that we need to make that are not easy decisions. So sometimes that's for ourselves, but that's sometimes also having to make a bold move for others around us too. And so really, we can't always know every aspect of how that, as we said, it's not gonna, you don't necessarily know what the outcome is gonna be, but it's taking the risk from a place of vulnerability. So, and fully showing up. So I might invite us into a little meditation practice and then journaling on 3 questions, and we see where we go, and then we just connect with each other. So I'd like to just invite you to reconnect to the ground and maybe close your eyes or lower your gaze. And what I would say also about courage, sometimes we do an exercise where we put our hands on our heart. This time I'm going to ask you to put your hands on your belly, just below your belly button. And I've heard a dear friend speak about Nelson Mandela, and how Nelson Mandela, when he had to make a tough decision and when he was faced with crucial information, that the place that he spoke from was a place just below the belly button. And that's the place where, if you ask many leaders and people who have to hold courage often, that's the place of the will. So what I'd like for us is to just hold that that place of courage in our body, sometimes referred to as the root chakra. And I even notice as I'm speaking that my voice changes when I'm tuned into that place. So just knowing, what this does for you. Yeah, Deborah just said gut check. Exactly. There's another little part of the brain that operates from this place. Often when I'm making a decision, I will tune into this place, and it won't be it's not a mental decision. I don't come up with a lot of ideas. It's not necessarily this like heart longing emotional thing. It's this deep place within ourselves that might just say yes or no. It might be that really clear. If I brought a decision to that place in my body, it would say yes or no. Maybe that's it. So just holding that place with your hands, with your attention and awareness. Just feeling the capacity of the body being connected to the ground. Also feeling the place just above the head, place where we are connected to sky. And just tune in for a moment, maybe to a time or an action that you've had to take in your life where you made a bold move. So just considering, maybe reflecting, when was a time when I had to make a bold move? Maybe it was a tough decision. What were the qualities that you had to use within yourself? Characteristics. And what were the conditions? Was there a condition that allowed you to feel the strength to be able to make that decision, or the strength to be able to make that move? Just tuning into the body where that lives. Perhaps it's that place underneath the belly button. Perhaps there's someone else somewhere else for you that holds that strength, that capacity. Perhaps it's a moment where you felt you had to be strong for someone else. Just tuning in to what's there. And then for a moment, I'd like to move us into a little body movement. So I'd like for you to just kind of collapse the ribs a little bit. So just a kind of little shrinking. Maybe you think of a time when you were a little less courageous, a little shrinking in, and maybe didn't make the right move, kind of knew it wasn't the thing. Just feeling that, like for me, I almost feel sick when I think about it. Just feeling that place. And then just shifting the body, lifting the spine, sending the energy out, feeling the hands on the belly, feeling the hands on the gut, and just opening up and feeling the difference. In this position, noticing the sensations. For me, I actually have chills moving through my arms, which means I'm actually connected to the extremities right now. So again, one more time, just noticing the difference between the two, collapsing the ribs a little bit, just tuning into the time where you're just a little less courageous, maybe don't make the right call, I don't know, almost a disconnect from that gut check, a disconnect from that place. Just feeling what that feels like, what the sensations are here. Noticing if there's any numbness or disconnect. And then lifting up, lifting in the body, opening the shoulders, lifting up the spine, feeling uplift at the crown of the head. Breathing fully into the lungs, filling the rib cage. Exhaling completely, filling the belly, the chest, the collarbones, just really filling up and using the whole lung capacity. I believe it's only 10% of Americans use the full amount of their lungs. The rest of us only use the top little 20%. So just tuning into what if for today I used my entire lung capacity to breathe. That feels like a bold move in and of itself. So a little practice that we can take with us. When you're ready, you can tune back into the screen and maybe to your pen or pencil and a piece of paper. And just write down anything that came up for you at first, but I will give a couple of prompts. So just thinking back to that bold move that you've made in your life. What did you need to be courageous there? Again, thinking back to a bold move you've made in your life. Maybe there were qualities inside yourself, something that you pulled on. What did you need to be courageous? And then thinking of a time when you had less courage, and I'm just kind of moving through these because we just thought about them a little bit. Thinking of a time when you had less courage, what stopped you? Maybe just tuning into the sensation that you felt before in the body. That might have a lot of information. Thinking of a time when you had less courage, what stopped you? And then finally, what do you need within yourself to show up with courage? So, again, what do you need within yourself? And if you just feel even the difference from point A to point B in your body, where you felt that difference, what did you need in order to shift into the position of courage? What did you need in order to shift in the position of courage? You can tune into that and write it down. I see some are already ready to share. So we're going to, in Zoom, turn to each other. But just what do you need in order to be in a place of courage? Beautiful. There's some already coming in. Flexibility, not being rigid about my decisions, community, inner strength, good support. Wonderful. So we're going to turn to each other and share with one another. If you're on YouTube, this is where we part ways. And if you're on Zoom, this is where we turn to each other and really listen and just open up a space of generous listening, which we've talked about many times before. But I often say that we don't know what the other person across from us had for breakfast, let alone their life experiences. So, really making time for each other, making time for yourself, and tuning into this place of courage. And the question that I would say, many of us were curious about is, where do you need courage in your life now? And based on the activity that we just did, what do you need in order to be able to give yourself the courage to step forward? So, where do you need the courage in your life now? You share your name, where you're coming from. Where do you need courage in your life right now? And what might give you the access to that courage? So, we'll move into breakouts for about 20 minutes, and we'll see you back here and have our closing comments. So, see you in 20 minutes. Enjoy your time.